Okay. Good morning. Morning, everyone. It's a beautiful morning in the swamp. What a journey in 2016's president election, especially for us journalists. I don't know how you guys dealing with this 2 years of process, really. For my background, I come from Taiwan, but I've been working for Chinese media for about 8 years. So I know nobody can really speak for or represent a group of people, but I'll try to share with you some of my insight or observations of the past 2 years. Okay. If you ask me to pick one word about Trump got elected, the reaction from Asia, I would say shocking. Let's take a look. So, okay. I vividly remember that night. I was sitting in Javits Center, a huge building with glass edifices that was supposed to symbolize Clinton's shattering the proverbial glass ceiling, along with thousands of supporters and reporters. And around 9 o'clock in the evening, things get weird. You know, this is the photo I took in the hallway of the Javits Center. And this one is in the media center. And then this is the expression of the journalist. You can know how shocked we were. And as the result drew to close, myself and other Chinese reporters were scrambling to rewrite our article. And that must be the most devastating thing for Chinese reporter, probably, because my team, Sina, in Beijing, we already prepared the whole feature story of the first female president, her victory, her video, her audio, and on WeChat, on Weibo product. So I start texting my editor. I was like, nope, this is not happening. And also, I spent a week, like before the election, in Park Ridge, Chicago, which is Hillary's hometown, to interview her childhood friend, elementary school. This is her elementary school, which is only 5-minute walk from her house. So you know how upset I was at that moment. All right. Anyway, so you really get a sense of the media outlets and from the Great China War, just as shocked as the public when Trump won the night. And now, let me give you a brief introduction of my company, Sina. Many of you might have known this. Sina has the global Alex ranks 13 and daily page view 100 million. Sina Weibo also have active accounts of 390 million. Let me see, and the demographic breakdown is like this. This is very interesting, actually. If you look at this, this is our international news readership. And the top 5 cities are from Beijing, Guangdong, Shandong, Jiangsu, and Zhejiang. These 5 cities and province took around 30% of our readership. And they are predominantly young people, mainly in the age of 18 to 34, which in China we call 80后, 90后. In America, you call it millennials. And one of my friends noticed an interesting thing is if you take a look at the 40 to 90 male, there's a huge readership up there. So I guess there's a bunch of middle-aged male that is very interested in what's going on in the world. Okay. So, what are some of the popular Chinese view on U.S. election? Zhaoyin has already mentioned that. I would say the reaction has a large contrast in how Chinese public see this candidate versus how Americans do. The Chinese know Clinton's experience as Secretary of State, her strong view on South China Sea, on human rights, and her policy of pivot to Asia, etc. So things that made her seem like a dangerous force for China or a threat if elected. Whenever there's something on Weibo pool, you can see her always described in the word in Chinese of witch, old, fake, robotic, which is very, very common when you see a post on Weibo. I found this on Weibo. Let me translate it for you. The one on the left, it say, dress like you're getting married, fight like you're getting divorced. That was on the debate. And the one on the right is Chinese making fun of how Trump enjoying Twitter. It say, why is it so hard to control my hand? And this you may know, this is very popular. Right after debate, Chinese translate this image into a karaoke set. So my point is, watching the US election for Chinese sometimes is like watching a show, a political show, a real reality of House of Cards. Trump is quite popular in Weibo in that term. People know him as a successful businessman. And in Chinese culture, people has great respect of people doing business, especially in real estate. While he's not really a self-made man, Chinese see him that way. And they also think he's just fun to watch. Although he's frequently blamed China for many of America's economic woes, I think he's still a wild card when it comes to foreign policy. And Clinton made her intention very clear in the past. I know there's a saying in America, the devil unknown is better. It's opposite. The devil unknown is better than the devil you know. Mm-hmm. But sadly, I have to say, the biggest selling point for Trump among Chinese is that the chaos he brought to the American society. The Chinese government was relatively quiet throughout the election season. But we need to take a closer look to the state-run media, just as Zhaoyin has mentioned. State media has compared the rise of Trump to that of Hitler, Mussolini, and emphasizing the dangers of democracy. And many of the members in China found they seen this election season as a joke. Here, some example from Xinhua and Global Times. State-run news agency often cite to indicate what the Chinese government may think. The one on the top, ugly debate once again characterized U.S. presidential election. U.S. media lament a broken democracy. And the one on the bottom, Trump phenomena highlights loss of democracy. British media say it is common in the West. So I found it when the state-run media are running the story of U.S. election, they're favoring on, for example, Hillary's elite corruption news. And there are some words I found very frequently used in this piece, include corruption, racism, social unstable, or imperialist. This is very common descriptor. So now the big question. The show is over. Trump got elected. How does Chinese evaluate the implication of Trump's presidency? Let's take a look to the Asian stock market. This is the night, when we realizing Trump is got elected. This is morning in Asia. And Shanghai, Hong Kong, Japan, Taipei market crumbled. And the gold price shot up. The market is panicking about the uncertainty of Trump's presidency. However, the market went back up the next day, seeming to indicate that the original crash was likely due to the shock factor of Trump actually winning. People calmed down and start to consider Trump might actually bring a focus on economy, growth and perhaps good for business US president. This is very interesting. I found this is 1 week after Trump got elected, and this is the editorial on Global Times. That was the two-part I think is very important. The first part is Trump is not Hillary. His Asia-Pacific policy is unlikely to be as radical as Hillary's. His main interest is revitalizing the American economy and restoring America's social vitality. And as China is the world's second largest economy and nuclear power, U.S. relation cannot be like a pendulum, but must maintain stability in the rhythm of power relation. I think this statement gives us a good insight into how Chinese may handle things going forward. So, for me, it's very interesting to see how Chinese government dealing with this political transition to the new leadership, because just in this May, they just deal with another political transition in Taiwan, where the DPP, the pro-independence party, President Tsai got elected. In this case, I think Xi administration will take a patient, like Dr. Daly say, wait and see approach. I believe this mentality will also apply to Trump presidency, because China now is dealing with a lot of domestic issue and economic slowdown. I don't see it's an ideal time for Chinese government to get into a trade war or any kind of war with the new US president. Furthermore, Trump's election, Obama's TPP might die. Maybe there's going to be a Trump TPP, but anyway, TPP was originally designed to be an important pillar of Obama's Asia repellency policy. China now they're dealing with a practical businessman, and though he might be a loose cannon, but and he don't have any track record in politics, but I think after a week, 2 weeks right now, China and the rest of Asia is not as nearly as panic as that night. And last but not least, my lovely homeland, Taiwan. I'm also a lead columnist on Crossing, which is one of the section for one of Taiwan's biggest economic magazine called 天下 Commonwealth. This platform cannot really compare with Sina, since the readership is basically in Taiwan, and we only have a population of 23 million people. However, it does have many talented Taiwanese writers discussing freely on how they view the world. To be honest, before the election, I witnessed barely no discussion of Trump's policy to Taiwan in Taiwanese media. The angle most of them enjoy covering is the craziness, the scandal, and the gossip surrounded by the candidate. Now things are decidedly different. As far as I know, the Taiwanese ambassador to U.S. has been to New York trying to set up the meeting with the transition team with Trump. And there are two key issues that Taiwan will want the Trump president to address. The first is reassurance of support for Taiwan Relation Act, TRA, and to reaffirm the Ronald Reagan Sixth Assurance that govern policy toward cross-strait relation, as prior administration have done. And since this issue was issued in the RNC platform in this summer, the Taiwanese official I've spoken to seems very optimistic. The second issue is the sale of weapon to Taiwan. Again, Trump is a businessman, and weapon sale create money, job, and income. So, this is the photo from last year when RNC chairman, now Trump's chief of staff in the White House, Reince Priebus, visit Taiwan with now Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen. I found Thai administration are using this image as a symbol of how close they are to the Trump team and how we have a good network and connection with the Republican. All right, so let me end by sharing a story of my interview with Trump's advisor, Peter Navarro, in this summer. So New York Times called him Trump's muse, and his job is, I believe, Trump's China or trade policy advisor, Peter Navarro. When I first approached him, of course, I was under the banner of Sina News, China. And as I was talking to him about the tariff, how practical raising the tariff to 45% is, and how realistic to start a trade war with China is. As the interview go by, the atmosphere got very intense. At one point, he was pointing at me and say, "Young lady, you look like a nice person. Why is your government stealing information from us? Why? You need to tell your government to stop it. You're bullying Taiwan, bullying the US, bullying the world." So I can't help but tell him I'm actually from Taiwan. So we both laughed, and he shared to me of his recent trip to Taiwan and how he enjoyed Taipei. If you watch his documentary, you can tell it's on YouTube. It's a video. In the beginning, he tell everyone, stop buying goods from China. He's very tough on this issue. Anyway, he assured me this on the record of cross-strait relation. Although we still don't know what his position is in Trump's White House, but I think it can be an indication of what he brought to Trump and what Trump might think of Taiwan. First part, Trump position is very clear. U.S. support Taiwan Relation Act. The U.S. support the Sixth Assurance of Ronald Reagan, and that is the basis of U.S. policy toward cross-strait relation. We would hope that Taiwan and the mainland would be able to resolve the difference peacefully. And the second part, I think, is very interesting. He said the worst thing that China has done in the past 5 years for cross-strait relation between mainland and Taiwan was the event in Hong Kong. The people of Taiwan see it and they go, one China, two system. So given that over the past week, I found all the discussion about Trump's presidency in DC is unpredictable, unknown. I hope some of my sharing and insights will at least help you clear up some thoughts from across the Pacific. Thank you.
Discuss.
Discuss.